And hello, it's Friday, and that means it is time for our Facebook Live. And I'm glad that you could join me. We're doing a sound check to see if everything comes up right. It'll say clinical study if you have it. Several pages. I don't know what happened to it. It's not in my office, so I don't know. Okay, so somebody's on. Are we live? Am I right way up? Can you hear me? Okay, I don't know. We got one person watching, but I can't see who it is. We're holding on. We're holding. Hold on. Kyle. Okay, Kyle, thank you. Thank you for letting me know I'm up. I'm right side up and you can hear me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So, this is Friday, Lunch and Learn with me, Dr. Polly Heil-Mealey, and we are located in downtown Humble, and I am in the front of our clinic, and so you may see people that come in, come out, phones ringing, people talking in the lobby because we are a working clinic. Again, we're located at 323 East Main Street in downtown Humble, so we want to welcome you to our clinic. We want to welcome you to our Lunch and Learn. So here we are. And Eugene is watching. Blast from the past for sure. Thank you so much. So today what we're going to be talking about is different things that happen in your gut. But these are some of the symptoms that you could have. It could be chronic illnesses such as diabetes, autoimmune issues, liver failure, okay? So if your symptoms are fatigue, anxiety, eczema, weight gain, bloating, muscle or joint pain, all of this can be caused by passive leaky gut. Now, I say passive leaky gut because one of my mentors, Dr. Cass, says that if you really had leaky gut, that you would die. And I want to kind of explain what leaky gut is, because a lot of people think that, oh my goodness, that means I have holes in my intestines and that kind of thing. So in your GI tract, when you are in your mommy's tummy, right, the first thing that forms in the fetus is the GI tract. And it's just a long, they call it a long neural tube. That's what they call it. It is, one end becomes your mouth, one end becomes your bottom, okay? So all of the food intake goes through that GI tract. The GI tract is covered by a layer of gastrointestinal mucus. Now, the mucus is there as a barrier because you've got what in the stomach? You've got hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid in the stomach helps break your digestion down, and the digestion needs acid to happen. But you don't want that acid to go into the small intestine or go into the large intestine, because it would burn holes in it, and that's why we've got this GI mucus. So if you have a disease called diverticulitis or you have diverticulosis, what that means is that mucus layer in the large bowel has pockets, and it has pockets because you've got systemic yeast. And so all of these things cause the GI barrier to become leaky. Now, think of the epithelial skin inside your GI tract. Think of it as like shingles or like a snake skin. So you've got a layer and a layer and a layer. When you have passive leaky gut, that layer opens up, that mucus gets porous, and then you can have some problems with the food, the digested food, not going through the proper channels. And what happens is the gut leaks because of its permeability, and you get these food proteins, these undigested food proteins. You get them in the body, and the body sees it as a food allergy. So I have a lot of friends. I've got Denise and Melanie and Miss Betty. Oh my goodness, I feel special today. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And yes, I saw Eugene earlier. I spoke to him. Okay, so I always want to acknowledge you guys for making time, and we thank you so much. So sometimes passive leaky gut manifests as anxiety, and what that means is panic attacks, depression, different things like that. So we want to talk today about what we can do to stop that. Now, I want to show you, yes, I just said hello to Miss Betty. So in this book, this is called Thrive in 63, and I know it's backwards, but you can see we've got this little chart here. Now, this chart shows what happens when you have good digestion. You're not going to have good digestion if you have passive leaky gut. So you've got digestion, you're absorbing your nutrients, you've got the energy to repair your body, and you have health. What we're seeing in the clinic is mostly this picture where you've got poor digestion, you've got toxicity in the body, you've got inflammation in the body, and then you have imbalance. From this imbalance, you've got all this sickness and disease here. This is what we normally see. So the Thrive in 63 program is a 63-day program where we go in to that GI tract and we rip out all the old mucus and we start fresh and rebuild. Now, I know that sounds like a painful thing. It's not really painful. We do it with herbs, we do it with enzymes and that kind of thing, so it's really, really easy to do. So what we want to talk to you today is about stress and how stress affects gut permeability. Now, you may know that you're not supposed to eat when you are stressed, right? You're not supposed to eat when you're angry. You're not supposed to eat when you're in a emotional state because you're not going to digest your food properly. So I just want to read some things to you, and hopefully it'll make some sense to you. And you can always ask questions. We've got of course, I'm on my phone and I'm not always seeing people when they come on or ask a question, but please ask a question because my staff is here and they're monitoring the feed, and so they can feed me your questions. So stress is a broad term and we often use it to denote a feeling, but stress is actually a reaction to a stimulus or threat that may be real or it may be perceived. So this reaction messes up, disturbs our intestinal balance. Intestinal balance is called homeostasis. That's when everything is vibrating at the right frequency. And those of you who have come into the clinic, that you're my patients, you know that we always are checking for frequency balance, because when you are balanced, the way God made the body is that when the body is balanced, when everybody has the right resonance, then everything is just going to go together and work right, and health will be there. When we have resonance that is not balanced, no homeostasis, then we've got some problems with that. So the homeostasis can be messed up physically, up on the in the mental area. So these are some things that you want to look at. So the gut is especially vulnerable to the presence of chronic and even acute stress. Chronic means time after time after time. Acute means it's just happening now. Okay, anxiety, really, I had no idea. Yes, well, anxiety is part of this gas permeability. Hey, Aunt Jerry, I see that you're on there. Thank you for watching. So what we want to do is we want to find out why anxiety messes up the gut. So I'm going to talk to you about that now. So we've got something called CFRs in the gut, and that stands for corticotropin releasing factors. This is responsible. These factors are responsible for coordinating all of your digestion. When you're under stress, you have a spike in cortisol, and that messes all of this up. The hormones affect your hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, which stimulates all of the cortisol from the adrenal glands. So when this happens, you're going to be in a high state of anxiety and you're not going to be absorbing your food. Now, not only does stress cause this physiological malfunction in the gut, it also causes changes in the composition of your neurotransmitters. So the neurotransmitters are in your brain, And when your neurotransmitters are messed up, then you're going to have this anxiety. So these are some things that you need to know. So if your neurotransmitters are messed up, we've got this product here, and it is called Saccharomyces boulardii. And I maybe didn't say that right, but that's what it looks like to me. This is a particular probiotic that seeds itself in the small intestine that regulates. It has the food that feeds the neurotransmitter production in your brain. So if your gut is messed up and you don't have these probiotics, then you may not have the neurotransmitters in your brain. So this is something that we look at, okay? So chronic exposure to stress can lead to the development of GERD, G-E-R-D. GERD is something that we call acid reflux. So now what you may not know is that acid reflux can come from too much acid in the stomach, or it can come from not enough acid in the stomach. So this is why we do an iridology picture when you come in, because it will tell us if your stomach is overactive or if it is underactive. If it is overactive, then we're going to give you something to kind of calm that down. If it's underactive, then we're going to supplement with something called betaine HCl. Now, what your stomach acid is hydrochloric acid. So the scientific abbreviation for that is HCl. So that's what you're looking at. A lot of people think it's HCI because the H and the C is capital and the L, they think it's an I, but it's really an L. So it's hydrochloric acid. Hello, Miss Charlene. It's good to see you on. Thank you for visiting with us today. So chronic stress plays an important part in the development of the leaky gut syndrome, or you may have been diagnosed by your doctor with something called SIBO, S-I-B-O. SIBO stands for small intestine bacterial overgrowth. So that brings us back to our stomach acid. If you're not making enough stomach acid, then you're going to be transmitting that bacteria that's on the food that we eat, and everybody gets bacteria. I mean, that's just part of where we are. It's part of living. So if you are internalizing, you're eating things with bacteria and your stomach acid is low, then what that's going to do is going to have errant bacteria get in the gut, and it's going to overgrow, and then you're going to have problems with gas, bloating, all that kind of stuff. Very, very uncomfortable. So what we want to do is we want to go in there and see what we can do to make that happy. So leaky gut or intestinal permeability is a condition in which the lining of the small intestine becomes inflamed, it becomes damaged, porous, allowing undigested foods, bacteria, fungus, and other foreign invaders into the sterile environment of the bloodstream. So, if you are over 30, you're probably not digesting your food properly. So if you're not digesting your food properly, then you're not absorbing all of the nutrients that you're supposed to be getting from eating your food. So when you come and you see me and we're doing an iridology evaluation, what we're looking at is the stomach lining, and if it is a dull gray color, you've got underactive stomach. If it's a bright white color, you've got overactive stomach. And so we work on different supplements for that. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Judy. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate that. So once in the bloodstream, these undigested proteins trigger the immune system, causing inflammation, and it leads to a long list of symptoms here. So if you have food allergies, if you're not able to lose weight, all these things point to passive leaky gut or SIBO, small intestine bacteria overgrowth, right? So if this is not checked, it leads to autoimmune issues. And so you can see how the food we eat and digesting the food we eat is a big part of whether we are healthy and whole or not. And so I can't overestimate or emphasize the fact that your digestion has a lot to do with your health. And so this is one reason why we talk about these things, because people will be putting up with bloating, they'll be putting up being gassy, they'll be putting up with acid reflux or indigestion. They'll be putting up with that because they think, oh, well, this is just what it is. I'm over 30, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. You don't have to put up with it. What this is doing, this is your body telling you that you have a problem. And so we can get that problem resolved. So what we want to do is move forward and get this toxic load off the body, rebuild, repair that GI lining, because if your GI lining is messed up, then you're going to have these symptoms. Now, on that note, I just want to say there are people out there that are telling you that it is okay to put essential oils, because they're all organic and all that, in a bag of chips. It's okay to put that in your water. It's okay to put that in a capsule and ingest it. And I'm just telling you that's not okay. Oil and water do not mix. Okay, so when you're putting that volatile essential oil in a capsule, you're putting it in your tummy. Whenever that capsule opens up in your stomach, it is going to absolutely burn through your GI tract, and you're going to have a lot of GI problems. So I would not want you to do that. A lot of people will put essential oil, lemon, or lime in their water, because of course it's the same thing as a lime wedge or a lemon wedge. It's really not the same thing. It tastes like the same thing, but the lemon and lime is very, very acidic, and what it's going to do, it's going to burn up the lining of your teeth, the enamel on your teeth, and then you're going to have problems with that. You're going to have tooth sensitivity and whatnot. So I think we have a question. What does fasting do physically? It's helpful emotionally. Does it help healing the gut? How would it relate to your topic? Oh, that's a lot of questions, Denise. Thank you so much. Intermittent fasting is very good for the body. I do intermittent fasting every week. So that's something that is very good. It gives digestion a rest. When you give your digestion a rest, because if you have any of these symptoms, you're putting a lot of energy in digestion, so you're taking away energy from healing. So fasting is good. A lot of people do intermittent fasting. They start eating at 8 and they quit eating like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so they have a very long time from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock the next morning of fasting. It is very helpful. I fast once a week. I do a 24-hour fast once a week, and I've done it for years. I do it for health reasons, and I do it for spiritual reasons as well. So don't call me when I'm on Facebook Live. I can't read that. Oh, hi, Ronaldo. Thanks for joining. And we've got another question here. Rolanda, yes. Okay, well, good. I'm glad you're wondering. If you have any questions about essential oils, we'll be happy to talk to you about that as well. So let's get back to our topic of the gut, right? So we talked about that. Okay, so let's talk about toxins in our food and in our environment. So a lot of people think that if they go to the grocery store, everything is okay by the FDA administration, so it's got to be good for us, it's got to be clean for us, and I would just say, nay, not necessarily. And so what you want to be looking for is something that says certified organic, or at the very least, certified non-GMO. Now, GMO is a acronym for genetically modified. Hey, Tola, thanks for joining. Genetically modified foods, genetically modified organisms. You have genetically modified organisms when you have your fruits and vegetables sprayed by a very, very powerful company that has the chemical glyphosate in it. Glyphosate is an herbicide that goes into your body and it wreaks havoc with your digestive system. So we've got all of that. We've got exhaust from the vehicles where we live, when we drive. We've got off-gassing from fabrics and carpets in our home and all that kind of stuff. So all of this puts stress on the system, which results in leaky gut. Gluten causes leaky gut by increasing the levels of a protein called zonulin. Now, people think that if they eat wheat, whole wheat, that they're doing better than if they eat white bread. Well, not so much, because again, in this country, all of your wheat is sprayed twice at harvest with this glyphosate, and what it does is it causes the grass, the wheat grass, to shrivel, and it causes that wheat kernel to pop out. Makes it better for the industrial farmers because they get more yield to it, but it makes it worse for us because we get the kernel of the grain covered with the glyphosate, and it irritates our gut. So we don't want to do that. So eating wheat is not any better than eating your white bread. So just saying that. So the zonulin, okay, opens up the spaces between the intestinal cells, which makes the gut porous. So now you know some of the scientific information behind that. Even if you don't have gluten sensitivity, you probably have been emotionally stressed in addition to being exposed to gluten, pesticides, heavy metals in the water, or dental fillings. So heavy metals also will cause you to have gut permeability. So really, it's an environmental disease as much as anything else. I had a patient come in this morning that had at least 2, but maybe more root canals. That's a really bad thing to do to your body because you're just opening up tissues to some other things. So you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So, did you know, this is a question, did you know that what goes on in your gut can dictate your mood or your perspective, right? It can dictate your mood. You think you woke up with a bad mood. You think you woke up with a problem, but really your gut might be I can't even think of my words. Your gut might be dictating your mood because of the imbalance that you have in that area. The gut is called your second brain for a reason. So there's a new study of biology, and it's called neuroimmunity. Okay, neuro meaning your brain, immunity meaning, of course, your health, your immune system, and that kind of thing. The state of your gut determines the state of your brain. And so what many doctors are finding, and I had a clinical study and I filed it somewhere and I can't find it, but it's a transformation study, it's a clinical study, and they showed that when you did this Thrive in 63 protocol, that all of the issues with the gut and the brain and sleep and all of these other kind of disorders, inflammation, homocysteine, all that kind of stuff, were resolved in 63 days. So this is really, really important to understand. And so we want to kind of give you the heads up on that, because you may just think that you're just crabby, okay? You may think that. So, yeah, I said to all of them, I said, welcome to all of them. So the connection between the gut and psychology is a two-way street. On the one hand, gastrointestinal inflammation and infection can contribute to things like depression and brain fog. On the other hand, mental stress and trauma can cause intestinal permeability or leaky gut. It turns out that psychological stress can do more than influence the integrity of our own cells. Scientists have found, and this is important, scientists have found that the bacteria living inside of us can actually dictate whether or not we feel stress. When we experience emotional or physical stress, we release hormones like cortisol, which we've mentioned before, and norepinephrine. Now, these stress hormones are important for us during dangerous events. They move energy into the muscle, they give us our fight or flight and all that kind of stuff. But cortisol and norepinephrine shut down the digestive system and shuts down our immune system. So, but this is the kicker here, all right? Researchers have found that the usually harmless microbes in the gut will suddenly turn pathogenic in response to the stress hormones that we release. So, what does that mean? We all live in a dirty world, right? None of us live in the Garden of Eden. So we're all going to be ingesting different pathogens. I remember driving in downtown Houston. I don't have to do that a lot, but sometimes I do. And you get in a traffic jam and you can actually smell inside your car the exhaust fumes from other people, right? If that is happening, you're already contaminating your internal environment. If you're eating your GMO foods, you're contaminating your environment. If you're if your stomach does not secrete enough hydrochloric acid, then that bacteria that you're ingesting goes into the small intestine and it creates that SIBO effect. We're finding that a lot of autoimmune issues are related to SIBO. And again, for those of you that just joined, that is small intestine bacterial overgrowth, okay? So these pathogens, these bacteria that we have, and a lot of times when you come and see me, I'll look at the whites of your eye, and there you can get your mirror and get a good light and look at your eye. You can see actually in the whites of your eye the little red lines, right? So if you have a red line that kind of curves and looks like a pocket, then what you've got is a bacterial pocket. And so a lot of times what we see is the bacterial pocket in the eye, in the whites of the eye. And don't we know that the eye is the window to the soul, right? Well, it's also the window into your health. So, but I digress. Let me just kind of get through this. When the bacteria becomes pathogenic, they rapidly mutate and multiply, and this is what leads to infection. So once this happens, the entire ecology of the gut is thrown out of balance, and once that happens, the gut becomes imbalanced. The door is wide open for sickness and disease. So this is why this is important. Now we've got a question again from Rolanda. Rolanda, yes. Diagnosed with gastritis, esophagitis, and GERD. Well, yes. MD told you to stay away from enzymes. Is this true? Well, I wouldn't think it was true. Why does he want you to stay away from enzymes? That doesn't make any sense. Your pancreas produces enzymes. You need enzymes to digest your food. If you're over 30, your pancreas is probably not doing a great job. If you have pancreatitis or you have diabetes or hypoglycemia, then your pancreas isn't doing what it needs to be doing. So we always recommend that people take digestive enzymes with their food to break down the food. Now, what he may be saying is with all of the itises that you're saying is he might be saying don't do enzymes because a lot of enzymes have pancreatin in it, or they have protease in it, and that is an enzyme that eats protein. So if you have itises, you've got exposed areas in the gut, and so you would want to have an enzyme that we have that is great for people with ulcers. It doesn't have those particular enzymes in it, and it's very, very safe for people who have all these itises. So there's a reason he's saying that is because you don't want to have anything with protease in it. You want to have enzymes, plant enzymes that are not going to eat up your already inflamed skin. So that's a good question. That's a really good question. I hope that makes sense. He says it, yes, that's right. He's right about the protease. So we've got a product here. It's called Catazyme U for ulcers, and it does not have the protease in it. So that would be why he's saying that. But if you're not digesting your food, then you're still going to have these problems. So what we need to find out is why are you having all of this inflammation? And so you would probably be a very good candidate for the Thrive in 63. Do you remember where that verbiage is in here? I know we, okay, I got it here. Why 63 days? Research has shown that it takes at least 3 21-day cycles to make a permanent transformational change in the gut. The science is called psychoneuroimmunology, the study of how emotions, nervous system, and immune system affect each other. That means the role of our psychological processes have on our physiological processes, how our behavior, habits, thoughts, and emotions impact our physical and chemical health. So, hi Beth, thanks for joining. The first 21-day period, the body will recognize you're making changes. This is the repairing phase. The second 21-day period, the body begins to balance, adjust, and accept the change. This is the rejuvenation process. And then on the third day, or the third 21-day period, the body undergoes the transformational phase. So this is what, hey Medina, thanks for joining. This is why we want to do this. And so what I want to do is bring attention to what's going on in the body so that you can make the appropriate decisions on what to do for your health. So, yay, you're going to come see us. So, well, that's a good thing. We can definitely help you. What we don't want to do is keep having problems with the opportunistic bacteria because we have leaky gut syndrome. So, I think that's about all of my knowledge. Well, it's not all my knowledge, but I'm out of time. And I've got people coming to see me this afternoon. It's a busy day, so I've got to say goodbye. Have a great, great weekend. Love you much. Hopefully you're thawed out wherever you live. I know that we're just about going to make it here in the greater Houston area. So I want you guys to have a great weekend. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to do that because we will be monitoring this page. So love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.